decent interaction with some students today in class.
I'm Spartacus!
Tuna! I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Where are my
I'm
emotes?
Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus. History is out there. At least it was. That's kind of how history works. Right. It was out there, and it was a lot bigger of a deal than it is now. Tuna, thanks so much for the sub, man. Very much appreciated, as always. Yeah. Get those trees of Gondor up in there. Look at that beautiful Gondor tree. Makes me think of the better times in Second Age before we were so consumed by our pride. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Hope everybody's doing all right. Like I said, I've had a pretty good day. Slept okay last night. Had some pretty good classes today. Got a substantial amount of work done at work. Been getting a lot of emails lately. Just a lot. You're off today for Yom Kippur. Cool. Hey, Figment. Friends and enemies, good evening. Also, you don't have COVID. Hey, that's the good stuff. I know you had to send out for a test, and then they sent it to Tennessee, so then you had to get another one. But I'm glad that you don't have COVID. That's good. Man, if I have to be honest, I have seen, I was talking about this with my wife earlier today, I have had more students ask to be out of class because they have had family members dying this year than I have seen probably since I started teaching college. I have a folder in my inbox where I keep absences that I've excused in case it, sort of comes back up. So I filtered out stuff for last year. So basically from August last school year, so August 2020 till May 2021, and I think I only had like 7 students that had asked off the entire year because of a family death, and I've already had 10 since the beginning of the school year. So from August until, we're like in the 5th week of school, and I've already had 10 people ask to be out of class because of a death, and it really sets in how severe this crap is. And most of the time that the people have been asking, it's been elderly, like my grandmothers and grandfathers and things like that. But it's kind of crazy, and it makes you think about stuff. Did someone curse us with the old "May you live in interesting times"? I hope not. I hope not. Though Interesting Times is one of my favorite Terry Pratchett novels. It's got Conan the Barbarian in it, and that guy is a hoot. Anytime the Silver Horde show up.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus! Oh my gosh, we've got more Spartaci.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Sci-Fi Taoist. Thank you for being Spartacus. Seriously, thank you very much. You all are awesome people, and I greatly appreciate it. Brittany wants to live in boring... Oh, no, sorry, that's Figment. I would love to live in boring times. Yeah, as opposed to crazy stuff. You support lovers of history? Oh, thank you. Also, hey, Metran, good to see you. It wasn't me. Yeah, I'm with you. So it's both of us. We enjoy boring times. Yeah, absolutely. Boring means I can get more stuff done. I have more time to do things and spend less time worrying about things. Someone recommended an awesome sciencey stream to you. You are welcome to share it. We are always interested in educational Twitch world. You are welcome to share the said person if you so desire. I don't know if I had anything else to say. Yeah, there's a slight possibility, I'm not certain yet, that I might end up canceling next Thursday's stream. I have not yet set this into stone. I don't know if it's definitely going to happen, but there's a possibility. There's some stuff that has come up, and I just found out literally like right before I got on stream. I don't even think Brittany knows about it yet, but we have been invited to a birthday party, and it's on Thursday night, and it was the person I was trying to contact you. So I don't know any other details at the moment. So there's a possibility. We'll have to talk that one over. Hey, won't be very active tonight. 2 a.m. Wow, got a seminar to finish at 9. Whoa. But you'll hang around and listen. All right, Metrand. I hope that my dulcet tones don't put you to sleep. You prefer watching your dystopian sci-fi on Netflix. Exactly. If you guys can catch her, it's pretty neat to watch, but you're also an archaeologist and objects conservation nerd. Oh, yeah. More archives. Cool. Well, let me see what's going on here with the old More archives. Mending a Civil War document. Oh, well, that's yeah, that's right up my alley. So that's a follow. And maybe we'll manage to catch more archives hanging out on Twitch. That's really neat. That's legit really cool. I need to talk with her. I actually have old newspapers that I need to find a way to preserve. So that's really cool. Thank you, Sci-Fi, for bringing that to our attention. The puppy is probably seeing something outside, like maybe a cat, and is just losing her mind up at the front. So if you hear the woofing, it's the puppy. You've gotten into bookbinding, and it was talking about it in another stream, so they recommended her. You're just becoming a regular rounder in the Twitch world, then, Sci-Fi. So I guess I should actually do like the introduction stuff. The show's Adventures in History, where we talk about history and we make fun of history and make fun out of history. And we talk about things in a way that is very easily approachable, most notably through stuff like bad jokes and puns and horrible things that make you groan, but land, and that you have a begrudging respect for. Pop cultural references and such. And we have a good time. We just hang out, we goof off, we talk a little bit of history, and I think that we've got a great community here, and I'm excited to talk about tonight's material. I'd originally thought that I was going to do the entire Three Kingdoms of China in one stream, and I found out last week when I was prepping for last week's stream, I was like, no, I'm just going to do this in two, because I really like this stuff, and because it's my prerogative, I get to split it up and talk about some more of the juicy details. So there we go. Vern calls dibs on jokes about China patterns. Dibs called. Hey, Vern, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. So, yeah, we're talking about Three Kingdoms China, where we left off last week. The Han Dynasty had effectively collapsed, and the groups that were sort of rising in its place are going to be built around originally three different dukes, and then they're going to take the title king, and then they're all going to end up taking the title emperor. And if we look at these people where they are on the map, we can look at the map, and we can see three kingdoms. So we have the kingdom of Wei, the kingdom of Wu, and the kingdom of Shu. So capitals are Chengdu here, Luoyang, and Jianye. And one thing that is important for us to remember is that the region right here along the Yangtze River is a really sort of almost impenetrable border that the Kingdom of Wu has set up. The Kingdom of Wei is the largest. It also is the most well equipped. We have the Kingdom of Shi over here, which is unfortunately the smallest one. It also does, though, have some of the smartest military leaders. A long way from here. Because Duke and King and Emperor is the natural procession. Yeah, absolutely, right. It's like, when you become Secretary of State and then Vice President and then President, right? It's just the natural progression of things. That's a good one, Metron. I appreciate that. So this is our sort of status quo. And you see here that this is listed in 262. This particular territorial layout is actually a little bit older than that. It probably goes back to around the end of the 240s or the beginning of the 250s. But it's important for us to recognize where we all stand so that when we start talking about these three different kingdoms, you know what we're talking about. It's not the size of the Shi, it's how you use it, right? And they're very smart. They have the great military minds over here. We would have thought, I would have already jumped on the puns. Not me for sure. Oh, man. This is the good stuff. All right. So, who are our leaders? We need to check in with sort of the roll call. So, Emperor of the Wu is this guy, whose name is Sun Quan. Emperor of the Wu. What about Emperor of the Shu? Well, we have this guy named Liu Shan, who is the son of the guy that sort of started the whole thing over in the Shu world. And leading the Wei Kingdom, we don't actually have an emperor yet. Well, I mean, kind of, sort of. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We have this guy, whose name is Sima Yi. Got to compensate for not being around. Yeah, you gotta cram all of the puns in as fast as you can, right? Or those kitties. So the shoes here are designed with these big things up in the front so that your hem doesn't fall over the front of your shoe and trip you. So these are literally designed to keep you from tripping over your own clothes. Oh yeah, this guy's got tons of attitude. He's got all of the attitude. He's very much sort of a... he's a dude. So Sima Yi is the only one that is not actually an emperor. So I guess I can type our kingdom, or our emperors here. So again, in the Wu, we have Sun Quan. We have Liu Shan in the Shi. And the emperor of the Wei Kingdom is actually this small kid named Cao Feng. But Sima Yi is the regent. So he's not actually an emperor. He is a regent. Joke's on all of them. You trip on thin air. Because a shorter hem is not an option. Absolutely not, Vern. Long hems were very much the style. The flowingness. It's like your power. Like you're floating, right? You just kind of hover around because you don't touch the ground. And no one touches you because you're the emperor, right? Except for Sima Yi. Again, he's not actually the emperor. There is a guy on the throne whose name is Cao Feng. And he's a younger kid, and Sima Yi sort of running the show behind him. But for the moment, let us focus on what's going on with this whole Sima clan and old Sima Yi here. Because the Kingdom of Wei, it started with this guy named Cao Cao, who was the guy that was in charge. And then it sort of went on a bit of a roller coaster where his son took over, but he was fairly young. And then that guy died young, and so his younger son took over, and then that guy died even younger. and now we have this kid who actually takes the throne when he's 7, and Sima Yi sort of running around. But by the time we get to about the 250 mark, Sima Yi had basically taken over the Kingdom of Wei. He was the adult in the room. He was giving orders in the name of the emperor. He was the one in control of the military. No way, indeed, Wei. Not actually the emperor, just fashionable, right? Would you give up the flowiness of ethereal beauty? Gaze upon my flowiness. So Sima Yi is basically going to end up taking over power, and for the majority of the 240s, he's going to be the power behind the throne. And he's going to prop himself up mostly because he is very successful in battle. He's a very good military tactician. He has a lot of smarts, and over in the border, basically in this region right here between the Kingdom of Wei and the Kingdom of Shu, there had been a lot of fighting, and the Kingdom of Shu had basically just thrown themselves sort of at this corner of the Kingdom of Wei, just trying to get some foothold over here. And they weren't really having a lot of luck, but the idea was that as long as they were keeping the soldiers tied down, there wasn't too much that Wei could do. But Sima Yi had sort of changed that and had defeated most of the advances of the Shu kingdom and had pretty much kept them from being successful in achieving any of their goals. Hey, Cave Geek, good to see you. So, Sima Yi was in control. He wasn't the emperor, but he starts getting more and more parts of the control. Kurds and Wei. Oh, dude, that would be a really fun band. Like if some people from northern Iraq and some people from central China formed a band that could be called Kurds and Wei. That would be really great. I would totally go see that band, assuming we weren't in the middle of a COVID scenario. How are you, Cave? You feeling any better? I know yesterday you said that you could smell bacon, and that was that was moving in the right direction. Now, when we get to 251, by this point, the Emperor, I guess I should put him on here too, huh? Xiao Feng. And I spelled it with an E. It's supposed to actually be an A, I think. Same as yesterday. Well, as long as it's not worse than yesterday, right? A day that you can smell bacon is a good day. So long as there is bacon. Right, there's a bacon shortage going around. I just heard about this the other day. There's a bacon shortage. So, Xiao Feng is getting older and becoming more assertive. And for a moment in time, Sima Yi gets pretty sick and ends up recognizing that he is soon to die and is going to organize a situation where he passes the regency of the emperor to his son. And this is a weird kind of scenario because usually the regents don't necessarily have unilateral control to decide who is the next regent, but Sima Yi had become pretty powerful and he's going to be able to pass the regency to his son Sima Shi in the year 251. Took me nearly 2 weeks to get better. Ugh. Yeah, Dallas, I remember like last week you popped in, I guess it was to Cave's chat, and you said, hey, and you're like, oh man, I feel like horrible. I'm going to go back to sleep. So that sucks. I'm glad you're feeling better though. Or maybe that was David's chat. I think it was Cave's chat though. I think so. Anyway, so You miss 2 work days. Oof. Yeah, that's where it gets bad when you have to start taking days off work. This is Sima Shi with his space invaders that are coming after him. Also with cool flowy robes, neat little headband, cool little box, sitting on a divan here. Interesting looking guy, Sima Shi. So he takes over his region. But at this point, Cao Feng is pretty old. Well, I mean, he's not like ancient, but he has reached adulthood. And there is a big power struggle internally in the Wei Kingdom between Sima Shi and Cao Feng. Because things are just not lining up. And Sima Shi is going to basically be able to play the political maneuvering game. He needs bunny slippers. Bunny slippers. Let me see if I can. Can I draw? Little bunny slippers. Bunny's noses are pink. There we go. Now he's got little bunny slippers. Who needs Steve sketches anyway? Oh man, that's pretty horrible. Everybody. Oh wait! What's going on here? Okay, yeah, I don't. Why are you up? I don't need you up right now. Oh, that screwed up OBS. Oh, dude, OBS is just losing its mind right now. Wow. Wow. It has no idea what to do right now. Oh no! What's going on? Aha! Wow. No altering history. Oh, good gracious. The only way to be comfy. There we are. There we are. Sima Shi is here to stay. Sima Shi takes over her kingdom. Sima Shi takes over her stream. Oh man, he's outmaneuvering me. He's outmaneuvering even me. Alas. Okay, so we got it fixed. Okay, everything has become... Well, let me just make sure. Is this... Yeah, okay, there we go. I have no idea how that happened, but that was pretty epic. Anyway, yeah, we don't go around and mess with history. I'm reading a Stephen King book right now called 11/22/63, and one of the things that keeps coming up is that changing history doesn't want to change. History is obdurate, and they keep using the word obdurate like a bajillion times. Just wait until he puts the sun in his place instead. Well, we're actually getting there. So Sima Shi is going to effectively outflank Cao Feng, and Cao Feng is not going to have as much power as he actually thought. And Sima Shi is going to extort him and is basically going to run into a really big issue because Sima Shi is going to sort of say, you need to give me power. And at this point, Cao Feng is going to say, no, you've got to go. And there's actually an attempt inside of like the imperial capital here. You enjoyed that book, but it did nudge a friend over the wrong edge. Ooh, what wrong edge is that, Tuna? The one where they think that they can go back in time and save Kennedy? So, Xiao Fang is going to try to round up his supporters. So he gets his bodyguard and some of his supporters, and they start kind of storming through the Imperial Palace, and they're going to go kill Sima Shi. The fluoride is poison edge. Oh, wow. That's a big edge. So they're going to go try to kill Sima Shi. And they don't get it. Sima Shi is actually going to rally his own supporters and basically use his power as regent, which is not over the emperor, by the way. And what's going to end up happening is that Sima Shi is just going to say, you've got to go. And so he deposes Xiao Fang and puts a younger family member, this guy named Xiao Mao, on the throne. And Xiao Fang is gone. Like, I'm in charge. I am the power now. Right? He went down the conspiracy rabbit hole and never came back. Alas, that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. So, when Sima Shi deposes Xiao Fang, the imperial family, actually the father-in-law, basically Xiao Fang's in-laws, are going to rise up and start armed conflict to try to get rid of not only Sima Shi, but the entire Sima clan. Because there are lots of other Sima clan members that I'm not talking to you about because it gets really, really confusing. And Sima Shi is going to beat all of them and put them down pretty hardly. And he's not going to kill all of them, but he is going to strip them of a lot of their land and titles. He is going to strip them from a lot of their income. He does put lots of them in prison. He does kill, I think, a couple of them, but not the entire family line. But makes it very clear that he is in charge, and that the Wei Emperor is more or less a puppet, and that the Sima clan is actually the one doing the driving force here. And a lot of people inside of the Kingdom of Wei don't like this idea, because Sima Shi at this point was more or less untried. He had done some stuff when his dad was regent that had gotten him enough, kind of support among the Sima clan supporters to be a valid candidate, but he didn't have, like the crown jewel. He didn't have the thing to kind of bring to the table to make himself legitimate. So he decides, I'm going to go fight Wu. And the Kingdom of Wu had been very difficult for the Kingdom of Wei to attack because of the border that they had, which was along the Yangtze River. The Kingdom of Wu had these very big river-based fortifications, riverside fortifications. They had lots of big castles, and they had holdfasts and troops constantly patrolling, and the Wu also had a very, very big navy. So it was hard for the Kingdom of Wei to get down into Wu to fight them to begin with. But Sima Shi is going to take some soldiers down, and they win a pretty big battle in the year 253 at a place called Hefei. And this is sort of like proving his chops. So Sima Shi is going to, say, look, I've got some of the grit in me that my dad had. I'm a logic kind of guy. I'm a strategic kind of guy. I almost said strategery there. He does kill a few of them, but not their entire clan. 3 Kingdom standards. Yes, pretty much. Like, some of you are going to die, but I'm going to kill, like, your third cousins. And Jimmy, he's gone. But I'm not going to kill, like, you. I'll let you go off and retire and keep one of your titles so that people, can still see me as a merciful and beneficent leader. But, yeah, you're pretty much gone. Also, hey, Ashiki, good to see you, man. So things are looking good for Sima Shi. Takes over in 251. Ends up with this big battle in 253 that kind of really, we're going to need another Jimmy. Right? Instead of Timmy. But yes, I follow the joke, Tuna. I killed she, but not that she. So, this is a really weird turn of events, but what happens to Sima Shi is really bizarre. He starts having this problem with his eye. And it starts off as kind of like an infection, and then he has to have surgery on it. So like the surgeons have to like do some cutting around his eye and do some surgery on his eye. And then during one particular exercise where he's sort of out kind of leading the country and, being with the troops, his eye actually pops out. And that gets like really nasty, infected, and this actually kills him. So Sima Shi of the Bunny Slippers dies because of an eyeball issue, which is kind of gross, but also really cool that history preserved that. Surgery in 200. Yeah, in 254, he starts having this eye issue. I did not see that coming either. No. Yeah, it's kind of gross. It's a weird situation. Like, you would expect him maybe to die in battle or to, get killed in his sleep by some sort of assassination. Are you not entertained? Is that not why you were here, Steve? Steve Sketches. I should share the swords. Swords! Hey, Steve. Hey, Nick's good to see you. How is everybody? How you doing? Steve, I hope that the earliness of your arrival does not mean that the dungeon went poorly. For those of you that do not already follow Steve Sketches, why not? Go follow Steve Sketches. He's a really cool dude. We got Slade. Ah! Alas. Oh no, not Heavy. Heavy was like a boss character though, right? Wasn't Heavy like one of the originals, like some sort of level 6 or something? We Slade, as in we Slade stuff. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, so I found out tonight, Steve, that I could do basic alterations on images here in Windows, and I drew some bunny slippers on this Chinese guy, and Cabe was like, "Why do we even need Steve?" Maybe Steve can draw slippers without crashing OBS. Yeah, it did sort of throw OBS into a titter, a kerfuffle. Hey, Nix, good to see you. Hey, Heavy, good to see you as well. So, hey, everybody that came in from Steve's channel. My name is Shane. I am a college teacher here where I live in the South. History is kind of my game, but I also have studied a lot of other things like archaeology and sociology and religion and cultures of various sorts. So the show here is Adventures in History, and we talk about history, but we do it in really fun ways where we don't have to feel like we're sitting in a lecture. It's more like we're just sort of hanging out as a bunch of friends, and you've got that one guy in the room that won't really shut up, but you don't necessarily dislike him because he's kind of entertaining, and he shows pictures and stuff like that, so, it's okay. Have you got to live the dream in the ruins between tons of quirks and buffs and trinkets? Okay. He one-shot all the skeletons. Okay, so that's... I was completely misinterpreting that entire statement that you put, Steve. And that is completely on me. So Heavy just wasted everybody. That's awesome. Well done, sir. We're talking about the Three Kingdoms of China. And we just talked about this guy named Sima Shi, who is this dude right here, who more or less usurped the power of the Emperor, kicked the Emperor out and put the Emperor's younger brother on the throne, and then died because while Sima Shi was out amongst the people doing some sort of strenuous exercise stuff, his eyeball popped out, and that got really infected and goopy, and that ended up getting like up into his skull and killed him, which is like if you had one of those like 2020 bingo cards, eye infection because eyeball popped out would probably be one of the ones around the edges. You know, you have it on there because it's 2020 and you're not 100% sure, but it's not necessarily something that you're betting on. You know, it's not like murder hornets or anything. He had some rockin' bunny slippers. He did until everything went awry. This is why your squats need the proper form. Right. You gotta get the squats going in the right way. And this is why we close our eyes when we sneeze. Correct, because otherwise your eyeballs can pop out. Yeah, you gotta watch out for that. It's a bit of a pun. All right, so Sima Shi is dead. And you're like, oh, what happened to that guy? Well, his eyeball popped out and he died. So we're going to get this new guy that's part of the Sima clan. And his name is Sima Zhao. And remember when you see the ZH...
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus?
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Celtic Preacher. Thank you so much, my friend. Much appreciated. And welcome back to being Spartacus. Lots of subs tonight. Thank you all. You are super generous with that. I greatly appreciate it. So yeah, we have a new regent. We have Sima Zhao and our Emperor of the Wei clan. It's September, according to Twitch. Dun 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 dun. Hey, we're making puns ourselves.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Tuna.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! Spartacus!
I'm Generosicus. Thank you, sir. That was very kind. And Shiggy. Thou art now Spartacus. Gift subs are on sale. You had one day to sub to... Oh, well, there we are. What can I do? Tuna, you are an amazing individual, and I am very grateful for all that you have done. You are under no compulsion to do anything ever, period. You're a good dude, and I do absolutely appreciate it. I'll have you all know, like, I do get checks from Twitch. They come in every 2 or 3 months, and it is money that I use to put right back into the stream. So the lights that I have, like these big beauties.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Tuna.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! Spartacus!
And now we're just doing.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus. So, Tuna, thank you again for a gift sub. Again, you are great. Much appreciated. Brittany, you're now Spartacus. Congratulations. Shiggy, passing the finger, passing the favor, is now giving Spartacus 2 Deopal hearts. No, that's Deopal Heta arts. Welcome to Spartacus World. Welcome to the adventure. And now we're just
Spartacus!
rubbing it in.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
Spartacus!
Metran, thank you very much. And Y Tegog or YT Egog or Etegog? I'm not certain, but welcome to the adventure. And you're now Spartacus too. Spartacus World, is that a new theme park? Perhaps. Get on with it! I love that. I love that one. That one was well done. That was perfectly timed, Shiggy. Okay, so here's the deal. Sima Zhao is going to take over after Sima Shi's eyeball issue.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Tuna.
I'm Spartacus!
Spartacus is now
I'm
Spartacus?
Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Is there someone in the chat actually named Spartacus? Or did Streamlabs just have like a moment where it sort of like crapped out on itself? Did you find some random person? Oh wow, is there just a random person somewhere on Twitch named Spartacus that just got a subscription to my channel? Dude, that's amazing. Do an impression of Spartacus. Okay, so Kurt Russell is very stern, and you see him looking around, and I don't actually know any of the lines that he has from the movie. I guess that's a particular issue. I should probably have memorized lines from that movie. Let me look up some lines from that movie. Lines from Kurt Russell Spartacus. Let's go to IMDb. Not Kurt Russell, Kirk Douglas. God, I'm getting my Kirks messed up. Where's my... I thought they usually had like some sort of quotes, like good quotes from the movie. They have trivia, but that's not what I'm looking for. They have a plot summary, but that's also not what I'm looking for. Kirk Douglas Spartacus. Here we are. Here's some... So here we go. So, Kirk Douglas. Kirk. When a free man dies, he loses the pleasure of life. A slave loses his pain. Death is the only freedom a slave knows. That's why he's not afraid of it. There you go. That's actually a pretty good quote. There we go. Like Snake Plissken Spartacus. Yeah. Hey, Kelly. Good to see you. I don't know why I perpetually mix up Kirk Douglas and Kurt Russell. I have no idea. It became FDR at the end of the quote. It kind of did become FDR. It got a little bit away from me. Yeah. Ask not what you can do for your country. But that's JFK. FDR is more like fireside chats. Thank you all so much for all of the gifting and such. You all are very much generous, and I really do seriously appreciate it. I was showing you around like this stuff, like the light setup that I have over here and over there. That is stuff that I purchased with money from Twitch. The camera that I'm using right here went towards giving money to people for stuff from Twitch. The new layout that we got a few weeks ago, and the neat little animated Shane guide that's down there in the corner, and our intro screen, that was all paid for with money from Twitch. So you all are super cool people, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. So let's get on with it. Okay, so Sima Zhao is taking over. Now, the Emperor, who is again the guy below him, Xiao Mao, is going to see this as an opportunity. Where Xiao Fang failed in trying to get rid of the Sima clan, maybe Xiao Mao can succeed. So, let's go kill Sima Zhao. Seems legit. In 260, Xiao Mao is going to round up his bodyguards and some of his supporters and go marching off through the palace to go find Sima Zhao and kill him. But it doesn't go as well for Xiao Mao, because what ends up happening is that one of Sima Zhao's supporters basically decides to get a little froggy and ends up killing the emperor. It just sort of runs him through. Just wait until Shane learns that Brannigan is the voice of Spartacus. Is it? I'll have to listen to that again. Meow, sir. You don't seem to be trying to overthrow the government. Chow Mao. Yeah, indeed. He's gone. He's dead. He gets killed. And for a hot second, Sima Zhao's like, I could totally just take over the empire right now. I could totally just do it. But he decides that he's going to play the humble card. Like, oh, woe is me, they tried to kill me, but I'm so honorable that I'm not going to take the throne. Instead, I'm just going to make sure that the Wei clan, who is the rightful emperor, gets to hold the throne. And we end up with this new emperor named Cao Huan, who is sort of like a puppet just from the get-go. It's not good. Sima Zhao is so much in control right now. So much in control. And he decides that it's time to do something about it. It's time to actually start wrecking some worlds, right? Someone in his particular world redeemed get on with it. And he's like, oh, wait, we're in a war. We should try to defeat our enemies. And unfortunately for the Shu clan and the Shu Empire, it's them first. Because Wu is being very determined in holding on to their territory, and the Wu are not going to just be easily defeated, because the army of the Wu had grown over time and was actually a little bit larger than the army of the Wei. So you go fight the Shu because they're smaller, they're over on the other side, you can attack them directly because your territory directly borders theirs, so you can attack them over land, and it's time to put an end to them. And in 263, it's go time. Did I share the picture of Sima Zhao? I don't think I did. So here is Sima Zhao. Here he is. This is him. This is one of the emperors. So this is probably Cao Huan, because he's a very, very young kid. Sima Zhao is the big dude here, the one sitting in the cool chair with all the cool stuff, pointing at the little kid like, look, he's the emperor. He's the emperor. I will make sure my personal puppet, the rightful ruler takes over. Exactly, KP, exactly. He's got a bad attitude. He pretty much does have a bad attitude. Look at that finger, that face, that posture. Yeah, he's very much like, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. He's got some man-spreading stuff going on here. Like, look, I'm sitting in the throne, and there's no way that anybody else can sit in here because I've clearly taken up the entire seat. You know, they forgot to draw the strings to the marionette. So we're gonna let's shrink this down a little bit, and we'll draw our little puppet strings. This is actually pretty neat. I'm glad that I found this. Make this a little bit thicker, and we'll and we got to draw some lines for his head, and then this one goes down to his mouth to make him talk. Look, I am in charge and you are a puppet. Ha ha ha. You know, people often misunderstand these images. Some emperors employed a seat warmer. Maybe so. Maybe so. He's one. He's the one a village would pool their funds in order to hire a less than honorable dude wandering through town to deal with it. Yeah, he's the guy that gets the assassins thrown at him. Why are words so hard? I don't know. Communication is hard. It's one of the hardest things. That's why organized language took us thousands of years to make, right? So, again, the Shu kingdom at this point is basically exhausted. They had been very ineffective at trying to invade the Wei kingdom. They had been constantly just throwing troops along the border into these big battles that they really didn't have any hope of winning. And by the point that we had arrived at the end of the stream last time, and where we are still with the Shu kingdom at this point, they're basically on a defense-only mode. They really don't have the capability of being an offensive force anymore. They sort of have to sit back and wait for the attack. And it's just so happening that Sima Zhao has a gigantic friggin' army. He sends 180,000 troops. Now, of course, this is him saying in history that he sent 180,000 troops. But it is not outside of the realm of possibility. The Kingdom of Wei had a very, very big population. And at this point in the battle, or this point in the series of the war, they had a really big army. Now, did they have 180,000 troops that they could just afford to send down into the Shu Kingdom to beat them up? Maybe. Maybe. But the sources say that it was a 180,000 man army. And they're going to split them up into 3 different prongs. There's going to sort of be a main force and then 2 flanking forces. And the guards and the generals along the border of the Shu Kingdom see all of this stuff happening. And they're like, oh crap, we're in deep trouble. And they send word back to Liu Shan, the emperor of the Shu. And he's just like, nah, they're not going to do it. They're not going to bring that many troops down here because that would leave the border along the Kingdom of Wu open. And then Wu would be able to counteract them. There's no way they're going to come down here with all those troops. Guess what? They were going to come down there with all those troops. With the way they form their armies, this is also not insane. Yeah, it's not that insane. It's probably not 180,000 troops, but if they had over 100, I would not really be so surprised. It was a really big army. It was really, really big. And Liu Shan is basically going to ignore the advice of his generals, including his top general, sort of the guy that is... well, can I get rid of this? Go away. Go away. There we go. This guy. Ba-ba-da-bum. This guy's name is Jiang Wei, and he was the top general of the Shu army, and he was very, very smart dude. He was very honorable, looks like a backstabber. Whoa. I'd imagine he'd guesstimate, don't think they had that he'd want to actually cast an eye on his troops. Well, casting an eye was something that his predecessor had done, and casting the eye did not end up so great for Sima Shi. So yeah, you don't want to cast eyes if you are the Sima clan at this point. You forget that even Lu Bu's corpse counts for 200,000 or 20,000 men. Yeah, well, that's true. Is that an apple on his head? No, that's his little hat and hair and headdress. Anyway, so this is Jiang Wei. And he is going to be basically the guy more or less in charge of trying to put together a defense for the Shu Kingdom. And unfortunately for him, he is paired against 3 of the top generals of the Wei, including their biggest general, who didn't actually think this was a good idea. This guy here, whose name is Ding Ai. He is the head of the Wei army. He had actually tried to convince Sima Zhao that this was a bad idea. And he's like, look, we don't need to invade them because we would end up leaving our border undefended in certain parts. And if this fails, we're going to be pretty far away from our centers of power. And he had really pushed back against this big invasion. Yeah, he's reading. Look, he's a sorcerer. He's got books. I I'm really enjoying this little thing. So I think I'm gonna continue, and maybe we'll draw. Let's see, get a really big thing here, and we'll draw him a little fireball that he's working on right here, because he's going to throw a fireball at them and burn them down. Can he explain English to me? I don't know. He probably doesn't know English. English as we know it had not really been invented at that point. So Ding Ai did not want to invade, and Sima Zhao said, we're going to invade. And then Ding Ai's like, I don't want anything to do with this. And Sima Zhao's like, you need to lead the entire army. And he's like, I am not going to lead the entire army. And Sima Zhao is like, no, I'm telling you. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, you have to lead the army. So Ding Ai is like, fine, whatever, I'll lead the army. And the invasion of Shu turns into sort of this really one-sided chess match between Ding Ai on the side of the Wei and Jiang Wei on the side of the Shu. And they're trying to like outflank each other, and they're moving people in little like flank maneuvers, and they're trying to like Jiang Wei's always trying to move from this fortified position to that fortified position without losing troops, but also keeping them locked down, and it's crazy. But the emperor was Xiao Huan. Yeah, who cares? Is it a recipe book and that fireball is for roasting chicken? Hey, that's a legitimate question. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just it's not actual fireball. Looks like he's the only one in the group reading the instructions for the IKEA furniture for the rest of the group to try to assemble without anyone listening to him. You'd go to that dinner party. Yeah, pretty much. So Ding Ai has a huge numerical advantage over Jiang Wei. And they kind of end up with this like quasi-frenemy relationship where they have a lot of respect for each other. Jiang Wei basically knows that he has an insurmountable foe to beat. And the best that he can hope for is to delay Ding Ai so much that maybe the Kingdom of Wu decides that the Kingdom of Wei is weak, and hopes sort of that Wu will invade Wei, so then Wei will have to relieve the pressure on Shu. But Wu's not going to do that. The leader of the Kingdom of Wu, we'll get to him in just a second. He's not really paying very much attention to this, and he's kind of in his own little world. Fire is meant for cooking, not war. A translation of an actual Chinese proverb. Hey, that's an interesting correlation there. I did not know that one. So maybe that fireball is for cooking a chicken. Maybe it is. Strategy. Let's hope this war goes forward. Yeah, it's a bad strategy, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Ding Ai is going to wrap up the invasion in about a year. So the year 263 is really, really bad for the Kingdom of Shu. The capital of Chengdu is going to fall. Lishan, the emperor of the Shu, is going to surrender in person. The capital of Chengdu gets occupied by Ding Ai, and Jiang Wei sort of holds out this last little hope of kind of keeping the faith alive. And he fights on for a few more months, and there are a couple little skirmishes where he sort of tries to kindle this flame back up. But he ends up running out of soldiers and food, and in order to try to spare as many of his men as he can, he decides to surrender. And he's really kind of bitter about this. John Wayne held out hope. No, not John Wayne. Jiang Wei. I guess I could have put his name up on the notes here. But his name is Jiang Wei. So, after the conquest of Shu, Jiang Wei is going to get into the larger government of China at that point because he was a very well-respected general. But the next year, in 264, he gets caught trying to convince some of the Wei generals that they actually need to rebel against Sima Zhao because he's a usurper, which he was. You know, the emperor is Qiao Huan, who's supposed to be running everything. But that gets back to Sima Zhao, and this guy had supporters everywhere. And what's going to end up happening is that Jiang Wei ends up getting killed. He gets arrested and put on trial, and they kill him. So that's the end of the great general of Shu. This is not actually a joke in Shanghai Noon. Oh, this was actually a joke in Shanghai Noon. Owen will... Yeah, okay. That I've seen, yes. I just don't remember the... I think I saw that maybe once, and I don't remember literally any of it. Was there a train involved at one point? I really can't remember that movie. Which is not probably very surprising. All right, so with the conquest of the Kingdom of Shu, Sima Zhao is going to go, okay, well, you know, it was nice to pretend that I wasn't emperor, but now I have, like, this gigantic feather in my hat. I would like to be emperor now. So what he starts to do is basically force Qiao Huan to give him these titles. And there are sort of these honorific titles that you must have to kind of even qualify for emperor, and there are 8 of them. And Sima Zhao had forced Qiao Han to offer them to him twice. Like, you must offer to give me these titles. And Qiao Huan's like, okay, fine, here are the titles. And then Sima Zhao goes, oh, no. I need to turn these down because I am not emperor. You know, the whole let me be purposefully humble, that kind of stuff. Jackie Chan's character's name was Jiang Wei, and Owen Wilson kept calling him John Wayne. That's somewhat familiar. The titles to a car? No, this is more like these honorific titles that give you certain honorific abilities, like the ability to be sort of involved in the big religious parades, and the ability to be guarded like the emperor would. There were certain people that could get these particular titles, even if they weren't the emperor. But if you were the emperor, you had all of these titles as well. So it's basically just like a whole bunch of social designation and some religious designation and a little bit of military designation. But there were these big 8 titles, and I can't remember what all the Chinese words are of them. Augustus all over again. Yeah. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. The same way that Augustus became emperor in Rome with the whole accumulation of titles. But yes, very much more direct manipulation. Augustus sort of let all of that come to him. Sima Zhao is going to go get them. He's going to say, Emperor, give me these titles. And in 263, he gets all of the honorifics. And then in 264, he's like, okay, you will now call me King of Jin. He's like, okay, fine, you're King of Jin. And then he is setting it up so that the next year he's going to basically try to usurp the throne, but he actually dies in 265, and his son is going to take over. His son is not going to be nearly as nice. His son's just going to be very direct. You demand to be the Queen of Jin. If you want to, babe, you can be the Queen of Jin. Just make sure that I'm around so that I can drive. You'll see you in square circle, brother. No, titles in a world wrestling. Oh, man. Are you guys going to, like, over the top? Like steel cage match? Or is it a ladder match? Who is the Queen of Vodka? Is she single? Tuna. Oh, Tuna. The Queen of Vodka is Mother Russia. And she has no lover. It's a table match. Oh, wow. Moose is a pretty pretty broad-shouldered dude. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where my money would be on that. I don't think I've ever actually seen a picture of Shiggy, so I don't really have anything to compare with. You believe a driver is one of the honorific abilities that comes with being a queen, right? An official driver, official designated driver, right? Tag team match where only Seamus can tag in. The Seema clan. What you gonna do when the Seema clan runs wild on you? Anyway, Seema Yan takes over, and he's not even going to be very nice, like with his dad. So his dad was sort of doing this thing like, we're going to slowly take titles. Seema Yan takes over, and he's like, you, Xiao Huan, you're going to quit. And Xiao Huan's like, honestly, fine. I hate you. I hate this whole situation. I quit. And then the next day, or not, I don't think it's actually the next day, but like within a couple of days, Seema Yan's like, I am now Emperor of Jin. Which brings us to our title, Gin and Juice. Because he was totally rolling down the street. If we're all getting titles and positions, can I just be like historian of the court? You're the Huan who will make me emperor. Yeah, so Seema Yan takes over, and he's going to change his name because when you become emperor, you get a cool regal like ruling name, and he's going to change his name to Jin Wudi. Jin Wudi. So Jin being the title of his clan, Wu being his given name, and Di meaning emperor. So this is Emperor Wu of Jin. And he is this guy. Boom! He's got attendants. He's got the big shoes. He's got the you can't see me face mask thing. This guy's the stuff. Look at his flowiness. His flowiness is so much you can't even see his hands. It's good to be the king. He missed out on getting the great last name of Ntonic. Gin and tonic. So he's going to take over. And at this point, the Kingdom of Wei doesn't really exist anymore. At this point, it's the Empire of Jin. Because things are changing, right? Things are just changing. Apparently, he has 2 dudes growing out of his arms. Hold your wood tablets and inking and writing implements and looks between the 2 guys. Jin guy, I'm the king now. Begins furiously writing. I am the king now. Okay, gotcha. So there's stuff going on, right? We no longer have the Kingdom of Wei. The Kingdom of Shi has fallen. Now we have the Empire of Jin and the Kingdom of Wu. And I think you can probably figure out where the next little period is going to go. But before there's a chance to go down and wreck the world in the south, there's a whole bunch of people up in the north that are going to start causing trouble for our Jin dynasty. Especially people up in this region. Now, if you've been around when we've talked about China before, you'll know that there are a lot of different people groups up here. There's a group called the Qiang, which are over here. There's a group right here called the Xiongnu. And there's a really big group right up here called the Xianbei. And all 3 of these groups are going to decide, nobody's really paying attention, let's rebel. And so they do, and there's going to be an entire decade of time, which is basically the entire decade of the 270s, where the Jin army is basically going to have to try to deal with all of these different disparate people groups that are running around up here in northern China. And these people are not completely sedentary. Some of them, especially the Xianbei, are very mobile because they're sort of, horseback riding peoples. And it's really hard to pin those folks down to have any sort of decisive battle because if they start losing, they can literally just gallop away and you can't keep up with them. So for an entire decade, Basically, the first decade of the Jin dynasty, from the 260s to the 270s, is spent trying to solidify their northern border. Executes what a figment for calling him king instead of emperor. Yes! The next period is called No Way. You guys ready? Okay, calmly, carefully, rampage. Yes, basically, like, no one's looking. Let's kill everybody. Petulantly gives Shiggy a snide nickname to be used in all historical documentation. Oh, that's like Chaucer in A Knight's Tale. Like, I will eviscerate you in poetry. Every pimple. I love A Knight's Tale, by the way. Such a great, really horribly bad, inaccurate historical movie. So, for the vast majority of the late 260s and almost all of the 270s, the Jin army is up in the north trying to fight all of these quasi-nomadic people. And it just locks them down. You can't have a big two-front war, especially when the army that you're going to fight has more soldiers and a bigger navy than you do. So what does Emperor Wu decide to do? And this is going to get a little confusing here, and that's because we have Emperor Wu, who is the emperor of the Jin dynasty, and he's going to go fight the kingdom of Wu, who is being ruled by the Sun clan as emperor. And I know that's weird, so I'm really going to kind of stop referring to them as individuals, and I'm going to refer to them as Jin, the dynasty of Jin, and Wu, the kingdom of Wu. And I'm going to try to be as clear as I am able to when we're discussing these individuals. Wu is Wu. So Wu is a kingdom, but Wu is also the emperor of Jin. And Wu's on first, right? If the next period is No Way, we're close to Yahweh. Comes back as the vengeful ghost. Oh, you've done it now. Oh, alas. Oh, Paul Bettany, indeed. Dude, Paul Bettany was so good in that movie, right? Sounds like you made history, puts all of the documentation into a separate shed, you think so, and sets it on fire. Oh, that sounds like what Shi Huangdi did with all of the 100 schools of philosophy. Just burn it all down. Not that Wu. I don't know. I'm so lost right now. Okay. Let's go back to our map. We can clarify here. That's the break screen. All right. So, the Kingdom of Wei has beaten the Kingdom of Shu. And now these two are one big empire. And the Sima clan has taken over the leadership of the Kingdom of Wei once they became an empire. And Wei and Shu are now combined to make the Empire of Jin. Alright, so all of this is now Jin. This down here is still Wu. Right. Now, the Emperor of the Jin is a guy named Wu. Emperor Wu. So Emperor Wu of the Jin is going down here to fight the Wu Kingdom. I really like the fact that I can ride on this. This is actually pretty epic, and I'm very excited about that. I've lost a lot of chat. The other Wu. Yes, not that Wu, the other Wu. Figment started the fire. Yeah, we got to do that too. It's so confusing. The break screen broke out on its own, right? I'll keep it burning as the world keeps turning. Haha, look at there. The John Cena clan? Pretty much. Jim? Wei plus Shu equals Jin. I'm not good at math. The Jin Wu Empire. Pretty much. Add another line there. It's the Empire of Jim. That is a lot of Jin. That is a lot of Jin. Where'd they go? You can't see them. Yes, I killed them all. I deleted them all. Anyway, So, who is running the Wu Kingdom? The guy running the Wu Kingdom is this guy. And his name is Sun Hao. So we have Jin Wudi versus Sun Hao. And I don't know why he's pointing at his chair. Maybe he's scolding the chair? Like, why are you so uncomfortable, chair? You make my butt hurt. Yep. So, we have the Jin versus the Kingdom of Wu. And they're going to do the same sort of thing. They start building this giant navy. The Jin does. The Jin start building up this really big navy because the Wu Kingdom has a really big navy already. And what's important is that because they now control this region over here, which used to be the Empire of Shu, they actually have the headwaters of the Yangtze River. So they are now upriver of all of the defenses along the border between their territory and the Wu Kingdom down here. And that's an important strategic location because now they don't have to go across the river, they can go down the river. So they come over to this region and they start building hundreds of ships because their invasion of Wu is going to be a really, really big navy with lots of soldiers on the ships. They're going to have these really big ships that have multiple decks. And this is another part where history sort of gets like, really? They're going to say that some of their ships are large enough to hold 2,000 soldiers. That's a big ship, right? I don't know if I buy 2,000 soldiers in a ship. Why not dam the river and mess with their agriculture? That's actually not a bad idea. The issue is that there's enough water source over here that it wouldn't really bother them. The Yangtze itself was pretty important, but the fields that are most reliant on the Yangtze are actually the ones that are the north of it, over here. The good farmland in their region is sort of this pocket right down in here and right down in here. And the Wu Kingdom is trading with people all the way down here into Southeastern Asia to bring food and stuff into their kingdom. So it would have hurt them. It would have been a significant hindrance, but it would not have been an effective long-term strategy. If they could have dammed up the river and then sort of blitzkrieg attacked across the dry riverbed, that would have been a decent strategy. But as soon as the river went down, the Wu would have just retreated to their big defenses, and you would have still been assaulting the same big fortified hilltops. So it's not a bad strategy, though. That's not a bad idea. You're just waiting for you to talk about Kong and Sun Wu's... You talk about Liu Kong? Because we're right there. You're definitely not wasting money on soldiers. I do believe you should go to sleep now. 6 hours until a seminar. All right, Metran. Thanks so much for hanging out. Hope you have a good one. Get good rest. I hope your seminar goes great tomorrow. Good to see you, my friend. Have a good night. Okay, so I don't know what you're talking about, Shiggy. I am sorry. I am unfamiliar. I'm Googling this. Sun Wukong, the Monkey King? I know him as Sun Haozi. I don't think he shows up in the actual story. Anyway. So, while they're building this big fleet, parts of the sort of the building to try to start floating down river. And people inside of the Wu Kingdom go to their emperor and they go, look, dude, they're building a really big navy. We know that they're building a big navy because like all of this stuff is floating down river, right? Like they're upstream from us. they are preparing a massive invasion. And Sun Hao's like, nah, they can't attack us, dude. We're like impregnable. There's like no way we can be beaten here. And at this point, one of the guys that is the head general in the Wu Kingdom is a guy named Liu Kang. So if you're familiar with Mortal Kombat, Liu Kang is not the character's name is based on this actual person in history. This great this great warrior that is a really big general down in the Wu Kingdom. Yes, Mortal Kombat indeed. You're promised romance. We talked a little bit about some romance. This episode's more like the stabby episode. The huggy, lovey-dovey, star-crossed lovers episode was the first one. This is like the stabby, killy, attacky kind of episode. So anyway, the kingdom of Wu knows that this attack is coming, but Sun Hao is just not a good leader. History does not remember him very well. They sort of remember him as this like evil tyrant that was very wrapped up in his own world, that didn't really pay attention to the people, that was sort of just a horrible dude all around. And he did not listen to his generals, and he was convinced that there was no way that the Jin dynasty could invade them, and if they did invade them, there was no way that they could win. So he really didn't do very much to prepare himself. Which is why when the Jin army invades and they bring 200,000 soldiers this time, it's just a total rout. The navy that the Jin dynasty built brings their soldiers right into the Wu Kingdom. The big defenses along the water are either mitigated or just completely bypassed. The army that pours off of these big Jin ships are basically behind the lines of a lot of the Wu army already. And when it does come to a potential naval battle where Navy versus Navy, the Wu Navy just surrenders because they know that they're cut off, because they basically had this gigantic navy on one side, and if they tried to pull in land, they had the big Jin army right there on the land. It was just like they were done. And Sun Hao is just utterly humiliated by this, and he's like, I really didn't see this one coming. And they're like, dude, we told you they're coming with this giant friggin' army, and you just paid no attention. Again, not a good ruler there, Sun Hao. He ends up surrendering, but he ends up surrendering in person. Like he goes up to the capital and surrenders himself in person. And before he leaves, he writes this big sort of missive to all of the people in the kingdom of Wu, and he's like, everybody just be nice and follow the Jin. I've screwed it up. We're part of them now, so just do what they tell you to do. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but with Rasputin we had romance and stabby. Alleged romance. I think Rasputin's romance was mainly started with kind of. I mean, I get it. Yeah, that's not wrong. All right, so what's up with the Jin? Well, by 280, this is what the Jin dynasty looks like. They had reunified China. Boom shakalaka. Whole China put back together, and there was much rejoicing. Yay! But here's the thing. Now that you put the empire together, now you got to rule it, right? Like, look, you're emperor. You don't have any bad guys anymore. Run the country. And Jin Wudi is like, I don't want to run the country. I'd kind of just like rather party and hang out and have feasts. And so how many years until it breaks? 150? We're all started taking bets. Well, I don't want to ruin anything, but we'll talk about what happens to the Jin dynasty. We'll come back and talk about China again. Tuna's like $1. Like Price is Right. It's closest without going over, so you just guess one year until it breaks. It's a couple of centuries. It goes on up into the Jin dynasty is consolidated until about the 420s or so. And then some bad stuff happens, and there's a big civil war, and China splits into half, and the northern half is completely overrun by barbarians. This is what's called the northern and southern kingdoms. And then if you want to fast forward of basically all the rest of Chinese history, the southern kingdoms are going to be in pretty bad shape for a little while, but this one particular group manages to put them back together. They're called the Sui dynasty. The Sui dynasty changed a whole bunch of stuff really, really, really fast, and that didn't go so great for them. And what ends up happening is that they give way to a little kid who's sort of, well, not a little kid, he's a teenager, but they usurp the power from the Sui dynasty, and they're called the Tang dynasty. And the Tang dynasty was pretty powerful, and they sort of hit the apex of Chinese power and trade in the Eastern Hemisphere. And they are ridiculously wealthy. This is sort of the height of the Silk Road, and they get way too big for their britches. And the Mongolians show up and cause a whole bunch of trouble, and the northern part of China is lost again. And the Tang dynasty has to run back south, but ends up getting switched over to a new dynasty called the Song dynasty. The Yuan dynasty sets itself up in the north under Kublai Khan. This is in the 1200s, and the Yuan dynasty really wants to take over the southern Song dynasty. The south is actually undergoing a renaissance at that point. This is the Chinese Renaissance, which is a few hundred years before the European Renaissance. The Song dynasty has paper money, has all sorts of stuff. These are the people that invent gunpowder. They're doing all sorts of crazy science down in the southern part of the Song dynasty. But the Yuan dynasty does eventually take them over and unite China under one big Mongolian dynasty called the Yuan dynasty. That doesn't last very long. They get run out. I don't know why I'm even doing this, but you get the idea. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in China, and I could talk about China lots, and we will talk about China more. Sway the artist? No, it's actually spelled Sui. The actual origin of 420 is some students that were in a high school at San Diego back in like the early 1970s. That's where 420 originally comes from, because they would always go out and smoke weed at 420 in the afternoon. Okay, anyway. Jin Dynasty, you're in charge now. Jin Wudi, do your thing. And he's like, don't wanna. And he ends up basically bringing a whole bunch of consorts into the palace. And some of the historical documents are pretty negative about this. They say basically that he had literally thousands of consorts. Some estimates up to 5,000 that were brought into the imperial palace, and he would sort of just like walk, like he didn't want to learn their names, because I mean, who wants to learn 5,000 people's names? So he would just sort of like walk down this lineup, and wherever he struck up a conversation with one of the women, that's where he would spend the night. But that got too much because he was like walking too far. So, and this is the story. We don't know if this is actually accurate or not, but it's a fun little story to share. The story goes that he built himself a little cart. So he had sort of like this little rolly divan kind of thing. And instead of bringing in horses to pull it, he got some goats to come pull it. And wherever the goats decided to stop, that's where he would spend the night. And the story goes that some of the ladies started planting or having planters of fragrant shrubs or herbs outside of their door, so that the goats would stop and try to eat that. And he'd be like, oh, okay, I guess I got to stop here tonight. Anyway, he's not doing lots of ruling. He's doing lots of being a ruler. And things are not so great. He's not necessarily the best leader. There's a lot of stuff going on. He does manage to take back most of the military power. One of the things that he does is forces every person that is a governor to give up all military power. And this is an attempt to make sure that none of the provincial governors have any sort of military ability to rebel against him. But this is actually going to end up crippling the empire later on. He's not a good emperor. When he gets to the point where he's sick, he ends up like having a kid, and he has lots of kids, but he's picked his younger son to be emperor, and the kid's not old enough to take over, so Emperor Wu has to pick a regent. But he's got like sort of two options. And one of the guys was really, really ambitious, and what ends up happening is like Jin Wudi writes this will and then subsequently dies, and he had given this will to one of the regents, and in the will he had named both people regents. So there was like a co-regency. Like one of these political guys and this military guy were both going to be regents for the next emperor. But the guy that got it was like the super ambitious political climby dude, and basically forged the will to say that he was the only leader. And that would have been okay, except for the fact that the child that Jin Wudi chose was not mentally there. So this is the thing. Like, so the guy that becomes emperor is named Jin Huidi. But Hui was... It's one of those things where it's hard to sort of diagnose history. He was mentally disabled. He was not in his right faculties. It had taken him like until he was 9 or 10 to even be able to really speak the right way. And it's really clear that he didn't sort of really understand what was going on. But Jin Wudi loved this kid and had chosen this kid to be the leader or the next emperor, but all of his advisors were like, look, dude, he's not actually going to be able to lead. He's not going to be able to make decisions on his own. He doesn't get it. He's not there. But Jin Wudi was like, oh no, that's my kid. He's a good kid. He's a good kid. You know, you let him rule. Just let him rule. But because Jin Huidi is not all there, he doesn't really understand what's happened. And the regency is pretty much going to be the real emperor. You got a ton of kids, choose another. But he wouldn't. He made his choice. He had done his duty for emperor for that day. Who needs more work? I'm going to go hang out with the goats, you know. The last emperor just rode around to let goats make decisions. How bad could the kid be? Little did Shane know that all of Jin Wu's Playboy actions set up enough line of succession to deal with a possible Hui death. I mean, yeah, he did. I'm not saying any money, but come on. So here's the deal. Jin Huidi is going to be emperor from 290 to 307. So that's 17 years. And in the span of those 17 years, the position of regent changes 11 times. Because everybody knows that Jin Huidi is not actually running the country. But because he's not aware of what's going on behind his back, the imperial palace turns into a bloodbath. And it is assassination, it is poisoning, it is strangulation in the bed. It's like no holds barred murder fest. It's using the government to try to frame people. It's digging up really old beefs between families and getting these people angry so that they'll join with you to get rid of that guy. 11 changes of regent in 17 years. It's crazy. And as you might expect, when all of this absolute garbage stuff is happening in the palace, the empire itself is just falling apart. And the Jin dynasty is going to be sort of doomed from the get-go. Quietly resigns from court historian job. On the bright side, nobody really wants to kill the idiot emperor. Another brilliant move by Jin Wu, right? Nobody's going to kill that kid. He's got nothing. He's not going to plot. He's just going to do whatever you tell him to do, right? Malice in the Palace. It does sound like a big WWE event. It's like a Falls Count Anywhere free-for-all in the building, and like they lock everybody in, and the last person standing in the building at the end of it is the emperor. So, much like federal Australian politics then, with much less racism. I mean, there is some racism, because in this mess, there's a lot of northern invasion kind of stuff and southern rebellion kind of stuff. So, there is some in this period, but not as overtly racist as some of the conservative Australian politics. Also, hey, a drop bear, good to see you. Hope you're having a good one. But I got this nice I Survived Murder Fest t-shirt. Right? So the Jin dynasty starts off really powerful. It beats the other two guys that are the three kingdoms. It unifies China, and for a very brief golden moment, things are okay, and then it just like hit after hit, and it's going down. We're going down in flames, right? But we're not going to collapse anything tonight. We're going to leave it there because we have hit our century mark threshold of 300. And we'll pick back up with China in the next phase. So, that means that I am done with my portion of the stream. However, as always, if you all have additional questions about this material, if you want to spend some of those lovely adventure points, you are welcome to do so. I will take a brief moment to look around to see who is alive, to see who we might raid. Let me see if there's any Knowledge Foundation people streaming. Raid Red? Red who? Red Jar of Jam? He's trying to hit affiliate. We can go raid Red Jar Jam.
What if I told you about it?
He's got 47 people in that stream right now. He's got more people than we do. He's doing all right. Let's see if there's somebody smaller. Hush, 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 Twitch, hush. Hey, Attackman, good to see you. Lurking due to family responsibilities. Understood, my friend. It's always good to see you. I hope you're having a good one. We could go raid Eris. I was looking for somebody small. If there was somebody like really, really small that we could go raid. I'm trying to spread some love to some of our kind of tinier friends. Because I was once a tiny little streamer, and I know how much it meant to me when even moderate raids came my direction. So I'm trying to be cognizant of that, and maybe spread some love to some other people. Let's see if this robotics guy is still up and running. There's a robotics streamer.
So G55, I don't have programmed out here on the table, so...
Yeah, let's go raid some robotics stuff. So, again, if you haven't been around, I joined an online collective called the Knowledge Fellowship. That's basically a whole bunch of people that use Twitch for educational purposes. And, yeah, I've seen Melissa in Denial on the list before, and I had hoped to catch her when she's actually doing Egyptology. I think she's probably playing Tomb Raider right now. Sophie's Quest. What is Sophie Quest? Let's see what Sophie Quest is up to. This portion of the channel is where Shane hangs around and figures out where he's going to raid. And it's... Did I spell that the right way? Sophie. Sophie Quests. What's up with Sophie Quests? History and gaming community. Oh, well, she's claiming to be the #1 history community. I think we're going to have to... I think we'll have to challenge that. So I think that's actually where we'll go. So let me get over here and push all the magic buttons and make all of this stuff happen. Unless anybody has anything else. Does anybody want to redeem channel points or ask any more questions or just hang out and goof off or anything of that nature? She's playing Stardew Valley. Mo paints. Soph's doing playing games right now, but she intersperses history things. Speaking of raiding Korea, question mark. Ha ha ha. Adventurous challenge, indeed. History challenge, popularity challenge. Hey, you foggage. Could you please count to 1 million audibly one at a time? I could, but I won't. That's a big undertaking, Moose, and I appreciate the challenge, but I don't think I have that much time. We've been streaming now for almost 2 hours, and I'm pretty sure that would take me a little bit more than 2 hours to do. So I'm going to have to put that on the I don't think I'll do that. By the way, paleontologizing, he is, yes, paleontologizing is part of that group. And he is absolutely gigantic, and I would love to maybe one day deign myself worthy to raid him. But at the moment, let's try to... I've been trying to look for smaller streamers that we can bring big groups or bigger groups to. You just wanted to know if Korean countries did anything. Oh, yeah. So, Shiggy, we were talking about Korea during this period a couple of streams ago. So if you roll back to the first stream in this particular phase, we were talking about what's going on in the Three Kingdoms of Korea and what's going on...
Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Tuna again with the graciousness. Thank you very much, Tuna. You found out recently that you can time someone out for 2 weeks max. Wow, that's a long time. Yeah, so Shiggy, if you want to catch up with that, go hang out in the stream. The title of that one is Ocean Eyes instead of Ocean Eyes like Billie Eilish. Negative. So we talked about Korea inclusively during the Korea stream. Last time we talked about China from 200 to 250, including the point where they beat up the Koreans. So we're moving sort of westward across the continents. We talked about Japan, talked about Korea, talked about Southeast Asia. Now we're talking about China. Next we'll talk about India and what's going on in Central Asia. And then we'll talk about Persia. And then we'll talk about Rome again. And then we'll go see what's going on in the New World. So stuff kind of layers on top of each other a little bit. That's good. That's okay. Feel free to check out the VOD. It's always going to hang around, and I think we're going to go raid. Yeah, so let's go raid Sophie Quests, who is claiming to have the best history chat on Twitch. I don't know about that. We'll see. We'll see, maybe. But thank all of you for hanging around. Thank you so much for all the gift subs. Metrand, I know that you're not with us anymore, but thanks for the gift sub. Tuna, thanks for the gift sub. We had somebody else that gave gift subs, and I should say thanks for everybody. Shiggy, thank you for the gift sub stuff. KP, thanks for the sub. Sapphire, thanks for the sub. You guys are awesome. But does she have the good hats? I don't know. We'll see. So our battle cry... Did I just cancel the raid? Are we still raiding? I think I just canceled the raid. Dadgummit. Son of a gun. There we go. Start raid. Okay. I'm not going to cancel the raid this time. Here we go. Thank you all so much again. You are way too generous. You touch my heart. I really appreciate it. The next time you will definitely see me is Tuesday night next week, where we do a viewer request stream on the history of medieval Poland. So I know there are people excited about that. Come hang around for that. I don't know if I'll be streaming next Thursday or not. I will let everybody know as soon as I can figure that out. There's also the possibility that I'll do some Gundam stuff over the weekend. I don't know, maybe. Otherwise, I will see you all on Tuesday. Hope you have a great weekend. Our Battle Cries adventure. Throw those great little hats in the ring as well. And we'll see you next time. Take it easy.